The movie starts with Sid, a high school senior. He's unpopular and prefers it that way to avoid trouble. He has 3 rules: stay silent, blend in, and steer clear of the notorious bully. Sid follows these rules by taking on low-key roles and helping out at school events. Chuck is a troublemaker who records his violent acts for his YouTube channel. Despite nearly killing someone, he avoids legal consequences due to his wealthy father. Sid's best friend, Jim, disagrees with his rules and dreams of social media stardom. While chatting, Sid spots Tiff, a girl he's had a crush on since they were 8. He recalls their childhood dance on the ice and hesitates to confess his feelings. Afterwards, Tiff is dating Chuck. Sid and Jim walk through the garden, joined by their friend Luna. It's clear that Jim and Luna have feelings for each other, but they deny it and often argue. When Sid gets home, his 2 mothers inform him about a letter from the school regarding the upcoming homecoming party. Sid expresses his disinterest and mentions that he doesn't have a date. Over the weekend, Sid spends his time playing video games. When he arrives at school, he's exhausted from 72 hours without sleep. His sleep deprivation affects him physically and mentally, leading to poor eating habits, lack of energy for sports, and accidental insults towards Chuck. In response, Chuck violently attacks Sid in front of their classmates. Eventually, a teacher intervenes, but Sid, still not in control, disrespects the teacher in front of everyone. Sid has broken his own rules by speaking out in front of the entire school. Chuck, in response, threatens to kill Sid the next time they meet. In the next scene, Sid wakes up in bed with Jim by his side, informing him that he was unconscious for 7 hours. Jim also reveals that Chuck has been suspended from school for 2 weeks and will attend anger management. However, this means that Chuck will be back in school on the day of the homecoming party. Hearing this, Sid becomes terrified and believes that the end of the school year will also be the end of his life. Frustrated with himself for breaking his rules, the next day Sid goes to school, thinking that his life will end in 2 weeks and that he hasn't enjoyed anything. Later, in a sex education class, a girl gives a lecture on abstinence. Sid stands up and argues against it, boldly asserting that having intimate urges is natural, and we shouldn't be afraid to embrace them. He states that everyone in the class is horny but scared to express it. The students admire his audacity and start sharing their thoughts. Proud of himself, Sid leaves the classroom, surprised by where he found this courage. Meanwhile, Jim is also proud of Sid, who has become a hero to others by expressing himself without fear. Sid receives a message from an unknown number, a girl who has liked him for a long time and finally reached his phone number. She compliments his bravery in class, and Sid is happy to have found a girl who likes him. After school, Sid goes to his job as a pizza delivery man. After finishing his shifts, he sits down with Jim and starts brainstorming. Sid informs Jim that since Chuck is returning in 2 weeks, he believes Chuck will definitely kill him. So he decides to make a list of things he must complete before he dies. With only 14 days left, Sid goes to school feeling unafraid for the first time. All the students treat him like a hero, and Jim tells him that the whole school is buzzing about him. Just then, Sid receives a message from the unknown girl mentioning that she's watching him from afar. He scans the area and spots Tiff approaching, realizing she must be the one messaging him. Tiff then apologizes for Chuck's behavior and tells Sid that she has broken up with Chuck, making Sid happy. She asks him if he will attend the hockey game that night, to which he responds positively. In the next scene, we meet Eric, the star player of the hockey team. His father, who is also the coach, criticizes him harshly if he doesn't perform well. During halftime, the team heads to the locker room, trailing in the game. The coach starts yelling at everyone, especially his son. Sensing that Eric is upset, Sid decides to talk to him. Eric opens up and confesses that he doesn't enjoy playing hockey and dreams of being a dancer. Sid comforts him, assuring him that it's okay not to play if he doesn't want to. Inspired by their conversation, Sid puts on Eric's clothes and takes his place on the ice. Initially scared and struggling, Sid remembers his talent for ice skating when he was younger. He also reflects on the fact that his life is ending soon, so he decides to have fun and give it his all. Sid starts playing like a pro, leading the team to victory. When he removes his helmet, Everyone realizes he's not Eric and is even more impressed. The coach is amazed and offers Sid a spot on the team. Meanwhile, the mysterious girl texts Sid again, praising his incredible performance. The next day, it's time for the presidential elections, and Megan is running for the position. She talks to her classmates in search of an assistant, but they all mock her. Sid, feeling a connection with Megan, steps up to be her assistant. Megan agrees since she has no other options. Later, Sid approaches a student who sells drugs within the school and buys some from him. Afterwards, Sid learns that Eric has joined the dance team, and he feels happy for him finally pursuing his passion. At night, Sid continues chatting with the mysterious girl he likes, still unaware of her true identity. Days later, it's election day for the student union president, and Megan is extremely nervous about winning. However, it turns out that Megan has accidentally taken Sid's drugs, mistaking them for mints. Megan, who is taking drugs for the first time, is terrified that she will lose her position. Sid decides to support her and takes drugs as well to reassure her that she is not alone. When it's time for their speeches, both Megan and Sid lose their senses due to the drugs. They start doing bizarre things like rapping and dancing on stage, while the other students burst into laughter. The next day there's a school play, and Sid notices Tiff rehearsing with a bully named John. Sid slyly puts something in John's makeup box, causing him to get pink eye and preventing him from performing. As a result, Sid is offered the role and happily performs alongside Tiff. After the show, Sid takes the opportunity to ask Tiff out to a party. In the next scene, Sid, Jim, and Luna arrive at Tiff's house to pick her up. Jim and Luna are still arguing as usual, while Sid excitedly greets Tiff. Together, they all head to the party at a classmate's house. At the party, Sid and Tiff have a great time enjoying each other's company. However, out of nowhere, Chuck shows up, demanding to know why Tiff hasn't been answering his calls. It turns out he was allowed to leave his anger management class early. Chuck tries to take Tiff away, but Sid steps in and holds her hand. Chuck gets angry and threatens Sid, saying he's going to kill him, but suddenly Chuck's car catches fire, so he rushes to put it out. Meanwhile, Sid and Tiff escape and arrive at a forest. Sid makes a move to kiss her, but Tiff hesitates and admits she doesn't have romantic feelings for him. She confesses that she's still in love with Chuck and apologizes to Sid for misleading him. Heartbroken, Sid heads back home with Jim and Luna. The next day, Sid asks the mysterious girl to meet him, but she refuses, saying she's not as brave as him. Sid then gets up and suggests to his friends that they should log off and explore life beyond the computer screen. He reminds them that there's more to life than video games, and they are impressed. Just as he receives a text from the mysterious girl, he notices a girl in the room holding a phone and giggling. He realizes she's the one and tries to talk to her, but she runs away. Eventually, he catches up to her, and the girl introduces herself as Katie. Although she's a bit embarrassed, Sid is thrilled and asks Katie out on a date. After school, Sid and Katie go on a date and quickly grow fond of each other. In a short time, they share a kiss and decide to start a relationship. One day, while Jim is outside walking his dog, he spots Chuck and his friends in a car. They offer him a ride and suggest filming a video together. Jim, who has always dreamed of being famous, agrees without much thought. The following day, Sid arrives at school and is shocked to find that all the students are mad at him. One of them shows him a video where it's revealed that Jim got drunk and spilled all of Sid's secrets. Jim claims that Sid made a list of his last wishes and even took drugs. He admits that Sid gave John pink eye and caused him to drop out of the role at the last minute. He also discusses how Sid wants to get laid and is dating someone else after Tiff rejected him. As a result, all the students now hate Sid. He's kicked off the video game team and the hockey team. Megan is also removed from being the class president due to drug use, and she is furious at Sid. She then tries to speak with Katie, but she discovers that Katie hasn't come to school that day. Later, when Sid gets back home, he finds Jim waiting for him, trying to apologize. However, Sid is still hurt and blames him for exposing his secrets just to be famous. He goes to his room and tries to reach out to Katie to apologize, but she refuses to forgive him. The next day, Luna visits Sid at his house and pleads with him to forgive Jim. She explains that Jim didn't mean to insult him, The homecoming party is approaching, and Sid is reluctant to attend, but Luna encourages him to be brave like before. She also admits that she was the one who set fire to Chuck's car. After much convincing from Luna, Sid finally decides to attend the party. On the day of the homecoming party, Sid and Jim finally reconcile. Sid then approaches Katie, who refuses to speak with him. Still, Sid apologizes, explaining that he never meant to hurt her and confessing that she is the only girl he's ever loved. Realizing that Chuck could kill him at any moment, he says goodbye and walks away. Later, Chuck arrives at the party and violently attacks Sid, causing him to lose consciousness. After some time, Sid wakes up in the hospital with Jim at his side. Jim shares that he too was attacked and starts telling what happened after Sid lost consciousness. In a flashback, we see that Jim also attacked Chuck to defend his friend, and then Luna joined in as well. After this, Eric began beating his father and stating his dream to be a dancer. The party descended into chaos as different groups began fighting with each other. After this, Sid leaves the room and finds the hospital full of the rest of the students. Meanwhile, we see that Jim and Luna have finally expressed their feelings and are now dating. Now Chuck has terrible injuries as well, and he is arrested for what he did. The rest of the students are relieved that Sid is still alive after all the beatings, but he ignores everyone else and goes to Katie, asking her to forget everything that happened and start afresh. She agrees, and the two begin to dance together in the hospital hallway as the movie comes to an end.